Welcome,
Welcome
Housewives of True Crime.
back in action. Kids are back to school.
Summer
Isn't it
flew by.
amazing? Summer flew by like snails and snot. But isn't it amazing? My kids have only been back in school for 2 days. How much I have accomplished
Oh, I know,
is
seriously.
amazing.
It's actually, I
Amazing.
still have a kid home. So, but just having one kid is like,
Yeah, and
it's
he's an
like,
easy one.
it's almost like having it
Yeah.
like at home. He lets me do what I needed to do. But if you have not listened to Patreon, then you don't know that all the fun stuff that Gretchen and I have done in the last week, because we saw each other. You do know that from listening to last Monday's episode. And if you haven't listened to Patreon and you want to hear more, go there. It's patreon.com/housewives of true crime. You can also find us on Apple Bonus, the Clink Clink Club. You get the same information. And you guys, you get all of our episodes ad free and a little bit early. So, I mean, if that's worth it, right?
Yes, Tab. It's worth it. Okay, let's talk about fun stuff now.
Do I sound like I was on The Price Right?
You do sound like you were
Drew
on The
Carey.
Price is Right. Yes, yes, yes. You are so good. Okay. I had something funny just happen.
What?
It's kind of like tragic and funny. You know how those worlds collide sometimes?
Yes, tell
Like
me.
a lot in our what we do. Okay, so I have this friend here who is I would say she's on the top 5 mom friends.
Okay.
And she's going through the ringer. She's got some shit going on. And so I belong part of this group text, and they all made a separate group text without her on it that said, hey, let's do something nice for her. If everybody could, like Venmo me, I'll get a Grubhub card and, like whatever, right?
Right.
So everyone, it's a great group of moms. So they're all over it. Okay. So then the mom who organized it in the morning sends out a text that says, guess what, guys? I can't believe it. We raised $900. I'm going to give her 500 in cash and a 400 Grubhub card at pickup today.
She
But
sent
guess
it to
what?
the wrong text string.
She sent it to the wrong text string.
Yeah, of course she did. That shit happens all the time.
So then it's like all these screenshots and everyone going, crap, unsend, delete. Ah,
Did she
this is
delete it?
terrible. Well, she did, but whatever she did, it didn't work because I mean it's still on mine, so I'm sure it's still on
Yeah, hers.
hers
That
too.
happens. That happens. I was taken off of a text string for my birthday because they were like planning some stuff for my birthday. And then they never put me back on the text string. I kept texting on that string thinking I was on it. And I was like, you guys, you're planning all this stuff. I see you going. And they're like, no, you're on it. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Oh,
Yeah, I was just left out.
you gotta be careful with those texties.
I know. I know.
Anything you put in writing, really, you got
It's
to be
true,
careful about.
dude. So true. Okay, so I wanted to tell you guys that you have to watch The Price is Right on November 15th. Gretchen and I are going to be on TV, but we cannot tell you in what type of fashion. But it is going to be worth it, right?
It is.
And
We are gonna
we'll talk
go
all about it.
down to the showdown or not. I don't know. Maybe the wheel was our deal. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe somebody next to us got real excited.
That's true.
Maybe not.
The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick was Gretchen and I went out 2 nights in a row in the Orange County. One night we first went out and with her OC friends, and we got real down at the Fast Times band, with the Fast Times band. It's like the 80s cover band. They were real fun, real good. Spicoli was the singer. Gretchen was in love with the guitar player. Not
I'm
really,
a good sport, but to be honest, 90s
really.
music is really my jam. Like 80s is like I got to try real hard.
Jesse's girl.
Yeah, no, it's not. No, that's not. No, that's not
like
my
all
song.
that. Okay. So
Yeah.
anyways, this dude comes up to us near the end of the night
Oh, I
and
forgot about this.
he was like, hey, he comes up to me and he's like, hey, were you a model? I was like, oh, okay. No. And then he's like, can I take you on a date? I was like, no.
She
And then
was loving it. Let's preface this. He was young.
well, yes, but he grabbed my hand, remember, and he was like, oh, you're married. And then you're like, that's not the only reason. But yes, he was young, fun, whatever. Like, okay, went on our way. The very next night, Gretchen and I do a bunch of stuff. We went to the dive bar, then we went to the Journey concert, then we went to this other country bar in another city, you guys, like another Orange County city. And hot damn, somebody comes up to me and he's like, hey, were you a model? Same flipping guy.
Yeah.
Same guy. So then Gretchen does, what Gretchen does because she's smart. And she's like, wait, how old did you say you were yesterday? I don't believe you. Let me see your ID. Grabs his driver's license and is
Take
like,
a picture.
take a picture of this dude because this is too weird. Like, is he a stalker? Does he know where we are, how we are, what, like, how the hell did he get in the same place in two different cities? I think it was a quinky dink.
She does. But let me tell you, the one thing that was sketching me out that night was that this young man said that he was out of work and he lived in another area in North Orange County. Okay. Like suburbia. And the address on his driver's license was a real nice address.
Yeah. And so Gretchen's like, why would he say he lives in this one city and not in the other? However, he was in his 20s. So I was like, dude, the guy has like parents. He's living with his friends.
Maybe.
I think that was the situation.
There could be lots of reasons, though.
There could be. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, but remember when we were in our 20s, did your address match where you lived? Mine hardly did.
My address rarely matches where I live to date. True story.
Yeah,
when you like move every 3 or 4 years, it's like it's a real crapshoot.
Yeah.
So yes, that there is a point to that, but I'm trying not to even think about this because it is really weird. We were in two very random bars that are not even similar.
No,
like
they're not.
A total dive bar in a different town and then a live music venue. So it's a little sus.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird, but a story to tell for sure.
Content.
Are you a model? That's his line.
She loved it. Yeah.
I'll take it any day of the week.
She was the belle of the ball that night. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are actually here to tell some crime stories. So should we get to it?
We should, but one more thing.
Yes, please.
Listen, I actually am not really worried about whether he was or he wasn't, some kind of,
Stalker?
serial stalker,
Mm-hmm.
because he knows I have a picture of his driver's license on my phone. So he's not going to fuck with me.
This is true.
Okay.
But I bet you're going to see him again. I just have this sneaking suspicion.
How am I going to explain that to my husband? I forgot to tell you about this guy that licked Tab's face, and then we saw him the next night at the bar.
Oh, yeah. I didn't mention that part. I didn't tell him about him. I actually forgot about that part. The guy
totally
like
gross. You're really lucky you don't have COVID. It's going around again.
I know. He did yes. I don't know. We should keep that part in this podcast.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. It was a little tipsy, but trust me, I did not like it. It was
reciprocate. Didn't like it. Very freaked out.
Yeah. Heaved me out completely. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to the show.
Okay.
All right, Gretchen, we have a listener suggestion this week, all the way from the great state of Michigan.
Shout out Michigan.
One of our favorite disco biscuits, Melissa Waldron, sent this one in on our Facebook group, which is usually where that's kind of like your space. I take the emails more, but I was kind of drawn to this crime, possibly because the one who helped solve the case is not who you would expect.
Okay.
So this case comes out of a small town located in not in Grand Rapids, but like a little bit north of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Grand Rapids is really big, right?
Yeah, it's a big city.
Okay.
This place is called Sand Lake, and it's a real small town, like one of those, like it's not even really it's not, I think it's like I don't know what they call it, but it's like a subset of a city. It has only less than 500 people, so it's like less than my graduating class.
Yeah.
Small.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going back not too long, just to the year of 2015. There was a 46-year-old man living his life, doing the best he could with the cards that he was dealt. This fellow's name was Martin Duram. He went by Marty. Marty was a good-looking guy, wore his hair long a lot of his life, sometimes had that mullet. But it
He
kind
must have
of,
been really good looking, because that does not sound hot at all.
I
Not with the mullet. I'm really not with the long hair.
I'm not either, but it did definitely work for him.
Okay.
And
Like who, like Brett, whoever, what's his name?
Bret Michaels
Yes.
kind of works for him too. Yes. Also, like a Jared Leto works with the long hair, right?
Although with Brett, I always wonder, like, does he keep that bandana on when he's like banging you? Because I feel like he would have to.
So I think he does, because I have this feeling that he's bald on top and long on the
Yeah, me too.
bottom kind of
Mhm.
thing. And so I don't think the bandana ever comes off. Marty would eventually cut his hair as he grew older, and it was short when he was 46, 47, however old he is here. And he still was he's a cute guy. He has dark hair, small nose, kind of like that, those kind of features. He was also a real true Michigan man. He liked the outdoors. He loved to hunt. He had 3 kids with his first wife, Christina. The two married really young. And they popped out 2 boys and a girl real quick. By 1995, when Marty was just 26 years old, he got in a very bad car accident, which left him disabled. He had some head trauma and some physical trauma. He was in a coma for a long time, which was really scary. But when he woke up, he was alive, which was great. But he had some challenges to overcome. His brain, he had one of those traumatic brain injuries that left him a little foggy. But the physical damages really were what left him disabled. He had to learn how to walk again. He had surgeries. He had this brace on his leg that actually, like, I think kept his leg straight so he could actually walk. And he used a cane. Christina, his wife at the time, really had to take over and care for Marty during those years. And during those years of taking care of him, they grew apart, which I'm not really sure if it was the struggle of taking care of your husband that was totally capable before you guys got married, and before the
That's got to
accident,
be
which
pretty stressful.
I think so too. But they also had 3 kids, so that is also real stressful.
Pretty stressful. Yeah.
So whatever reason, they grew apart and they separated. Christina would take the 3 kids with her, and Marty would take their African gray parrot, which was originally Christina's from before they got married. But as I would, as a mama bear, I would probably say, take the bird, I'll take the kids.
Yeah, fine. I'm not really a bird person either.
You're not, but Christina is. So, she was kind of sad about it.
She was.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really get the bird thing.
But
I mean, they're inside. They I feel bad for them. Like, don't they want to fly away?
I know. I
They
always
shit and squawk all the time. It's like, it's so annoying.
You really have to be a bird person. When I was 13, I cleaned this lady's house for money, and she had a bird, and that was one of my jobs that I had to do, was like go and clean her bird's cage. And she had one of those African grays. The bird was cool because it talked, to be like, hello, hello. But dude, I think it definitely made me not a bird person. I was like, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it's a
I don't
lot.
know. And I do feel
Yeah.
bad. I feel like if you have wings, you should be able to fly. But anyways,
I'm not very good outside of like the dogs and cats. Like really, the babysitter while we were at the Price is Right took my kids to the pet store and they are Googling chameleons every day.
mm-mm,
Mm-mm.
mm-mm,
Not gonna
no,
do it. Not gonna do it.
I'm
Two
not.
fish and a dog.
Yeah,
We're good.
fish are also hard. So yeah, I just, if you're a pet person, good on you. I am forced to be a pet person because my kids
Mhm.
like it. So, anyways, after Marty's divorce, he got in touch with an old fling. Her name was Glenna. According to a Facebook page called Justice for Marty Duram, Glenna and Marty had a real quick love affair back when they were about 18 years old. Nothing serious because Glenna was actually married at the time with a kid. Glenna would eventually have another kid by the time Marty and her rekindled their old fast flame. Glenna was stoked to see cutie patootie Marty back on the market. And although her kids were still young, she decided that Marty was the package worth jumping ship for. Marty and Glenna got hitched and lived happily ever after.
Isn't that just such a slap in the face, though? I'm feeling sorry for Christina. My husband gets back with his ex. As soon as he finds her on Facebook, which I don't think she's on Facebook because I've looked for her. Uh, uh, I would hate that. Get somebody new, fresh meat. Okay, at
It's
least do that. Don't
Well,
go.
he should have. Okay, let's
Then
just
it
say
fe-
that.
then it feels like it was like you were never over her. You never loved me.
Oh, I don't think
Oh.
that's true. I think she was the one night stand before, but also they didn't live happily ever after, or they wouldn't be on this podcast, right? So
Okay.
that would have been nice. But their love affair, unfortunately, did not end in a happily ever after, let me tell you. At first, these two did like to do a lot of the same things together. Actually, for their whole marriage, they like to do these things together. They love to gamble, they love to hunt, and they like to sell pills. Actually, that's how they made some of their money. You see, Glenna did get insurance money from taking care of Marty from his disability, and he got some disability money also, which totaled about $4,000 a month. This I read from a few media sources. I think that actually $4,000 is pretty damn good.
And
Because
especially in Michigan, I feel like that you could live off of that. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, okay. So she's willing to be a party to his collecting checks and
yes,
taking care of him is being a caretaker is a job,
yes,
but maybe you need a side hustle selling pills. Boy,
yeah, yes.
maybe try selling ugly leggings or like whatever, something else.
Yeah,
One coin.
I
I'm
think the
just kidding.
pills are pretty pricey. So you can make a pretty good living selling some pills.
You want to hear
Uh
something crazy? My kid's got
what?
an ear infection, and I asked the doctor, she's not been sleeping. I said, can you prescribe her something for pain? I mean, when I was a kid, they handed out that Tylenol with codeine cough syrup like
Yeah.
nothing, right?
Did they say no
And
could do barbecue?
he's like, nope, I've been to too many funerals. I was like, okay,
Oh.
not
Like
even like extra strength Motrin,
like
nothing.
funerals for who? The parents that are popping
Kids,
those instead?
he's like, if there was an option, he told me if there was an option between Motrin and codeine, I would give it to you, but there's not. So suck it up, Buttercup.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well,
But maybe we all need that. I mean, the pills is a crisis, so they're not even going to get a taste. These kids,
yeah. Yeah, I
they'll never
guess.
know.
Okay. Well, they didn't have a problem prescribing them for Marty.
Mm.
Let me just tell you, he had a plethora of them. Marty owned this house that him and Glenna lived in. Although they'd still had a mortgage, it was a very low mortgage. Their other big expense that they needed to sell the pills for was the gambling, Gretchy.
And they're not
So
very good at it. Need a new hobby.
so Glenna sold Marty's pills. He had multiple prescriptions for that chronic pain from the accident, but I think what he did was what Willow did and took some Motrin instead of the good stuff and made some additional income. And it's totally against the law. So I do not suggest We also have a crazy opioid crisis, like you were talking about. So it's probably not a good idea. Also, if you sell these pills on the side and somebody does end up having a funeral, you could be liable for their death.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. It's really tragic. But if it wasn't pills, we were talking about something else, like broccoli. Like you ate green beans instead or whatever and sold. I mean, it kind of makes sense from a business point of view. I mean, you're getting it subsidized,
it's true.
but it's not a good idea. Okay.
It's not. But it did help with their expenses. Glenna also ran all their finances for their household. So she brought the groceries, paid the bills, the mortgage, and saved the cash for a rainy day. By 2015, Glenna's mismanagement of the Durham's finances were all about to come to head when Marty's mom and relatives saw in the local paper that Marty's house was about to go up for auction. Marty's mom immediately called Marty and asked, "What the heck is going on, son? Your address is in the paper. How could this be?" I mean, Marty's house was his pride and joy. He bought that house after that accident with some insurance money. And Marty was one of those guys like Jeremiah. Like he liked to hang out in the garage, talk to neighbors. He loved the house and the being a part of it. And that was like his jam every day. He also had one of those ride-on lawnmowers because it was a big
that's
piece of property.
Jeremiah's effing dream
Yeah,
is the
I
ride-on
know.
lawnmower. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this guy had one of those, and he would even go to the neighbor's yard and mow their yard also with his ride-on mower. And actually, one of their neighbors was like their besties. So besides his kid,
Well,
this
who
house
wouldn't want to be friends with somebody who's got the ride-on lawnmower? That
totally.
should be your new best friend.
You
That's
know,
awesome. I'm afraid too many people are going to start liking me disingenuously because of my new ice maker.
yeah, Gretchen just got the which is crazy because she wouldn't even pay for the
I
damn
kid.
$300
Well,
on
this was
the
free.
yeah, it's an industrial ice maker.
That's right. Telling all my friends,
The
don't go to
one
the gas
that
station, go to my garage, fill up your coolers.
yeah, you fill up the
I got you
cooler with that.
covered.
Yeah, it's awesome. She hasn't plugged it in for yet to make sure it actually works, but she does have it.
Oh, the husband had like the neighbor over. They were talking about it. There's like a part they have to order. He'll make it
Oh,
happen.
okay. Okay, yeah, he will. He's very good like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so reading the foreclosure auction notice was a total shock to Marty's mom as well as Marty when his mom called. Marty also, immediately questions Glenna and she says, "No way, this must be a misprint in the paper." So the two of them drove down to Marty's mom's house to get the paper to see for themselves. Well, sure as shit, their address was in the paper. So Glenna calls up the paper to straighten things out. But when the second notice showed up at their door stating that their house was about to be foreclosed on, it was hard for Glenna to keep that lie going, but she sure tried. She ripped up the letter. She said she was calling the mortgage company because they had something twisted.
Glenna, the jig is up. I mean, they're gonna like the notice comes to your door. You cannot hide that. Maybe a couple delinquent notices, but you got to tell the truth.
Yeah, she also did have those delinquent notices that come in the mail ripped up in her underwear drawer, so Mr. Marty could not find them. Well, the night of the 11th, it seemed like everything was pretty normal. Marty and Glenna went across the street to their neighbors, their good friends, Connie and Keith, to say hello, hang out for a bit. Glenna was complaining about the insurance company not sending her monthly check for taking care of Marty. And Marty was saying something about a realtor stopping by to check on the sale of their property. And he really didn't understand what the mix up was. Why did they have their house on the foreclosure list?
Those realtors be circling
I know.
all the time.
Yeah, they are. The two left Connie and Keith around 9:15 at night. Well, the next morning when Keith texted Marty at 8:30 a.m., like they usually do, where they're the buds that like hanging out. "What's up? You up? You in your garage?" Marty didn't respond, and that was unusual for Marty. So Connie went by the Durham's house to check on them later that day, and there were no signs of Marty or Glenna, and the door was locked. So then the next day, May 13th, Connie went back to see if either of them were home, and this time the door was unlocked. Connie walked in, I assume probably calling their names, and when she walked in the bedroom, she was shocked. Marty was lying next to his bed, clearly dead, and Glenna was slumped over, bleeding from her head and dead too. Connie immediately ran out of the house as fast as she could down the street where there were some firefighters putting out a garage fire. And then they ran over to the house, went inside, saw what they saw, called for police dispatch, stating 2 were DOA, dead on arrival.
Bad day on that street.
I know, garage fire and 2 people dead. What are the chances?
It's probably the realtor.
It's like, I'm getting in before, right? I need 2 houses, actually. Let's start this fire. When the police got in the house, they knew that this was a crime scene. Marty was lying near the edge of his bed in just his underwear. His brace was off of his leg, and there were 5 bullet wounds to his body. He also looked to have been deceased for a while. When they went over to Glenna, she was lying with a blanket atop of her and what looked to be a bullet, possibly 2 in the right side of her head, right above her ear. At first, they didn't touch or move the bodies. They were just kind of searching for evidence. But after about 45 minutes to an hour, an officer went over to touch Glenna, and her eyes shot open and she started screaming for Marty.
Oh, shit.
Could you imagine, dude? I can imagine that.
Who pronounced them DOA is in trouble.
I know, dude. Like, nobody actually checked their pulse. They just kind of assumed, which was definitely a mistake on the part of
everyone.
However, I don't think it changes anything, right? I mean,
unless she bled out in between,
Yeah, so she didn't. So she's still alive.
Yeah, so locked out. Okay.
So obviously they immediately call for help. They take Glenna straight to the hospital. And according to the records, Glenna would just be screaming Marty's name the entire way. She was pretty combative in the ambulance, so they had to strap her down. And back at the house, it's like, was it a robbery gone wrong? What, did somebody want their pills? Did they want their money? Or was it what it looked like to be a murder-suicide? Police did search the house and they found the murder weapon in the living room. They collected that and the cell phones of both Marty and Glenna. They also took a lot of pictures of the crime scene and really kind of tore through the house looking for evidence. But what the police didn't take was, well, they didn't actually take anything more than that, which I kind of think is like, are you supposed to collect everything? If you think this is a murder? So I think the detectives were a little inexperienced. We know that they didn't take much because the very next day, they allowed Marty's kids to access the house to get the pet Parrot out. And his children, who are grown, they're adults at this time, found a lot of things, including evidence that was overlooked by the police. First, they noticed a large manila envelope in the middle of the living room floor. It is in the crime scene photos as well. They just didn't collect it or look inside. And it was addressed to the mother of Glenna and had 3 notes in it, 1 for each of her children and 1 to her ex-husband. Glenna had 2 kids of her own. The ones to her kids apologized for not being there for them for the past 12 years. And that she was sorry. And then 1 to the ex-husband that said, please take care of our children and our grandchildren. So Marty's kids immediately called the police to turn in these notes and turn them over to the police. There were also a few $1,000s in an envelope next to those notes. Marty's kids took the money. And according to that Facebook page I was talking to you about, they also asked the police at the time when they called them to like tell them about this, like what seems to be suicide notes, right? They also asked to get into the safe, which the police instructed them to do so. And they took out whatever cash was in there, which was about like $1,400. All in all, it was a few $1,000s. And I mean, I think I would have taken it, right?
Well, I mean, at least taken it and held it and then thought about who the rightful beneficiary should be. But I mean, how crazy that this is like a murder suicide and except it's not.
Except it's not, right? Except now it turns into being a murder.
That's like that. Yeah, that is really bad.
Yeah. So this whole taking of the money did get a lot of media hatred towards the children, saying that they stole the money. But I think if I was in their position and I went to go get a bird and I saw these suicide notes and I was like, dude, it's not like a robbery. This chick murdered my dad. She also has 2 kids of her own. This money belongs to us. We're the next of kin, right? Like,
they got a funeral to pay for and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I think it's shady if they keep it a secret.
Well, they did not. I don't think they told the police that they took it, but I don't know if I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would have even thought to tell the police. Like, of course, I'll tell the police about these notes because that's evidence.
I don't know, you know that you need to tell the police, but I mean, I think you should volunteer everything to the police, but I can overlook them not telling the police as long as everyone in the family knew.
Oh yeah,
it was did. Like, this is how much money we found, you know, et cetera. So that it's like, because that's who you listen, you feel like you're more worried about pissing off Aunt Sally
I know
than the detective. Okay.
Right.
Like,
right.
People get kooky about money when people go passing away.
This is true. Yes, you're right. Yeah. So there was no doubt in their mind that Glenna was the culprit in this murder-suicide that didn't take, now just murder, right? So back at the hospital where Glenna was taken, there was a little bit of controversy here. According to a documentary that I watched and according to Glenna's side, she was placed in a coma and she has no memory of what happened. According
to an induced coma. That's pretty common.
Yeah, I think so. However, in some court records, there were records of police questioning her in the hospital when she was in this so-called coma. So I'm not sure. All I know is that Glenna wasn't talking. She all she wanted to say was that, you know, where's Marty kind of thing, and had no recollection of what actually happened. After Glenna was released from the hospital, she would be questioned again and basically still had no answers. She had a list of people that she thought were possible suspects besides herself, like the people she sold drugs to, and Marty's kids. She would try to put the blame on anyone she could, even her own family. But the fact of the matter really was that all fingers kind of pointed to her.
This is why you shouldn't murder suicide. Just suicide. If
I know,
must.
right? Yeah, like come on. If you were going to do it to yourself, like then
I don't care if they're still alive. Let it go.
Yeah, he's going to lose his house. He'll be mad at you and you'll be gone. Also, if it was a drug deal gone bad or someone robbing them, there were thousands of dollars left in plain sight. And in all of the crime scene photos, there's hundreds of pills in a bottle just sitting there, like two or three bottles of pills with lots of pills. So somebody would have taken those.
That should show you what an opioid crisis is, really. If this guy can just take the Motrin and be okay and have all those extra pills,
yeah,
it shows you it's overprescribed.
Yeah, it is. Also, his guns were still in the house. The gun that was used to shoot both of them was still in the house. You could see it all, you know, in the crime scene photos. So even though the suspicions were high, nothing was really happening and months passed. You know, sometimes it takes a media uproar to get the ball moving, in any town, doesn't even matter if it's small or big. Like when the media comes rocking, the police come a knocking. We saw that with the Kristen Smart case, right? Like that was
great example.
20 something years old until that podcast came out and people started talking about it. So anyways, Marty's parents decided to give an interview to a local news station regarding their son and their suspicions. And his old pet parrot own testimony. That's right.
Got it. Okay.
The parrot had a testimony. He actually went to Christina, his ex-wife's house, the first, his first wife, the parrot's original owner. And when she got the parrot back, it repeated a scene that sounded like two people fighting in two different voices. One of these voices being Glenna's and the other voice being Marty. Christina would actually set up her phone one night to get the recording of the bird repeating these words so she could actually listen slower to see what it was saying. And I'm going to play it for you. His parents actually released this video to the media, and this is what got the ball rolling.
First of all, I mean, the beginning was like it was hard to whatever, but at the end, it's pretty clear that it is like in a man's voice saying, "Don't fucking shoot."
Right. Yes. So
that is so crazy. I'm still not a bird person. That is fucking scary.
Nuts,
You could
right?
you can't do shit. That's worse than your cell phone listening in all the time. This shit, repeating it back.
I know, but it's not common for birds to recount something so vividly like that. That is, Christina and their whole entire family feel like the bird was traumatized from the experience that he had. Bud is the bird's name. And these African gray parrots are extremely smart animals. Like Bud even remembered Christina from years, like 12 years prior when she had him with Marty. So he did consistently repeat that and yell out like that for a good amount of time, but he's better now. He doesn't, it's like almost like the bird had like PTSD,
That's nuts.
It's nuts. But that is really what got this, the media to go wild. And although I think it got their family a little bit stressed because of the bird and the media, and it's like, no, the bird didn't solve this crime, but the bird did have something to do with solving this crime. So the parrot wasn't the only evidence to this twisted tale. The fact of the matter was that Glenna was hiding the fact that she blew through all the money they had. She didn't pay the mortgage for over a year on their house. And she gambled a lot more than anyone knew. One year, she actually gambled away $75,000.
Oh.
So, sure, Marty went to the casino with Glenna, but he was pretty conservative from what people say about his spending. And Glenna was betting the house, like literally.
Yeah.
So the pressure was building for Glenna, and knowing that the house was about to be sold right under their feet, Marty had no idea. He actually just painted the bathroom like the day before he was murdered. There was nothing packed, no signs that he had any idea that Glenna was lying. The house was going up for auction the day that Glenna pulled the trigger on her husband, leaving 5 bullets in his body. And from the looks of it, from all the evidence, it looked like she went home from the neighbor's house and was up all night trying to figure out what the fuck to do. Her mom texted her around 11:40 on May 12th, and then sometime around 3:30 in the morning, she started looking up about this gun that she had taken out of this safe, this like Rigger gun.
Ruger?
Or Ruger. Oh yeah, Ruger. She texted her mom back from that 11:40 text at 3:28 in the morning. She then searched Ruger safety and other information about the gun for about 4 to 5 minutes. And then at 4:48 a.m., she texted her mom again saying, "Love you, sorry." Her mom thought she was talking about her gambling debt. And I guess she told her parents that she threw away $600 in the trash, which I don't know if she did or not. Who knows? But I think she said, "Love you, sorry," because she killed Marty, or she was just about to kill Marty. 9 seconds after she texted her mom, she searched again about the gun. And then from there, her texting went silent and her phone usage went silent. So did she like immediately shoot herself? I don't know.
Listen, if you take the Marty part out of the equation, I mean, girlfriend has a gambling addiction, which is an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
She is under, I mean, the worst. Being under a pile of debt is so freaking stressful, you know?
Right.
She's ashamed, whatever. I mean, there's a lot to feel sorry for her.
Right.
Except the Marty thing. That's
yeah, that's where it's bad.
It's real bad.
It's real bad. So we don't know when she shot herself. Somehow the gun was found in the living room and the two were found in the bedroom. Now, remember, Connie's first claims were that she found Glenna sitting up, slumped over. But when the emergency personnel came in, they say she was lying on her back with a blanket over her, basically playing dead. So Glenna, I mean, it doesn't change the fact, like, I mean, obviously she was alive. Glenna was arrested months after she killed Marty, and only after the media frenzy of Bud the Parrot repeating his owner's final words, which you caught, Gretchy, "Don't shoot."
It was "Don't fucking shoot."
Don't fucking shoot.
I could be a court reporter. But so she didn't have any massive injuries or whatever left over from.
So the crazy thing is she didn't. She had shot herself in it was a miracle, really. Like, she shot herself in the head through a pillow. And it didn't hit any arteries or anything. And a medical examiner or a medical personnel, like some neurological person, said her wounds were like basically superficial, and she could have got up and, tried to put the gun somewhere. And since she didn't die, figure out like how to survive. I don't know. Like, that's the weird thing about it. I'll tell you.
Well, it would seem to me, if she didn't plan on surviving, if your intention was to take your life, then, and you were still able, try again, try harder.
Well, supposedly there are 2 shots to her head. I have not read I think because she's still alive, we can't really, still HIPAA. So at first it said there was 2 wounds to her head. What you can see, because I did see the crime scene photos, like I can see a shot that kind of grazed her ear and then into the back of her ear. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Marty's family, I will tell you, they've been through the ringer, which you see with a lot of victims. For one, Glenna tried to claim that his kids killed him for money because they came and took that money, which was, and I think they tried to say that they took money out of Glenna's purse, but Glenna's purse was actually taken with the police. So that is false. They only came in to take the bird, and they found the suicide notes, then ended up taking the money. I mean, like I said, I would do it too. They have had to deal with Glenna's family really trying to not take accountability for their family member doing this. And I understand that part too. Like, you don't want to believe that one of your loved ones is able to do something like this. You know, murder
Right.
is the ultimate sin. And yes, it was murder suicide, that suicide went wrong, but you still cannot imagine that somebody is capable of it. But let me tell you, people are freaking capable of it. We talk a lot about it, even people that you would never think would do something like that. Glenna's family has also questioned the fact that there are no fingerprints on either of the phones, but maybe she wiped them clean. We don't know. They want to point fingers to like somebody that they sold drugs to, or even their own family members. There have been podcasts on this story, and the family typically does not like how the podcasts have told them. There's also been a docu series on it, or it's just like one episode on ID, and they really were excited when it was coming out. They thought that they were going to tell Marty's story the way that they thought it should be told, and it wasn't. I watched it. There's a guy on there that claims to be like a cousin, best friend of Marty, and they were so close, and he knew everything about Marty and Glenna. He talked about Glenna a lot and how they have the wrong person in jail. And it turns out from Marty's Facebook page, I think that's actually Glenna's brother, which they don't make message of in the ID channel. So it's like, dude, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Of course, Glenna's brother is going to say she's innocent, you know?
Yeah.
So they're real pissed about that. They're also pissed about media saying the bird solved the case, but I mean, it kind of helped, I think. But on the bright side of things, Marty's kids are freaking killing it in life. I mean, they post a ton of pictures of all of Marty's children and his grandchildren. They have the most beautiful families with the most beautiful children. His ex-wife, Christina, also is on there a lot, and she is a real disco biscuit. I mean, much better looking than Glenna. I mean, she's looking real good even now. She's in her 50s. So anyways, I hope I told their dad's story well.
Okay, but wait, so Glenna was...
Yes, so Glenna was sentenced to life in prison. She is 55 now, and she's still sitting in prison. I got a lot of my story from their Facebook page, but I also did watch that documentary, and I read case files. I read a bazillion news reports, and I even read her appeals reports, which she is trying to appeal.
Okay, so she's still contending. She's still contending that it was.
Yeah, but that's normal.
And she has no recollection of like, oh, I forgot. You told me she said the kids.
She did what? It. Oh,
that's her explanation.
Yeah, come on.
Like,
his kids did not kill him. Come on. Or what her brother says on the documentary, or whoever this guy was. He wants to say it's somebody in the drug world that they were selling drugs to. They would have taken the pills. You know, it's not. And then why 5 times at Marty, and then in like his body, and then like to the head of side of her head? No, that's
and through a pillow.
Yeah, that's not happening. So nope. Yeah, so that is the story of Marty Duram and Glenna Duram, who is still sitting in prison, and it's not doing well for her. She's, prison sucks, man.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Michigan, not much sunlight. They probably don't get. I mean, feel like you get real pasty.
She's Native American, so she has that beautiful skin. So she's not going to be pasty ever.
Lucky duck.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, maybe I was picturing her like that because when you say Glenna, I thought it like
Glenna the Good Witch.
Yeah. I think it's Glinda.
Oh, yeah, it is Glinda.
Similar.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. If you guys
got the witch part right, not the good.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Not the good witch. She's the bad witch. Which isn't Glinda, kind of does turn out to be the bad witch in Wicked. If you haven't seen Wicked, you should. It's a very good musical. And if you haven't checked out our Patreon, you should. And if you haven't checked out our YouTube, you should. You'll see our bright and shiny faces. And if
Oh,
you
we have a
don't,
co-star today.
we do. Scout, she's alive and well. And look at her. She looks so cute. You got to go to YouTube so you can just see Gretchy's pooch. She is a cute one. And follow us on all of the things. Also, we are going to be at CrimeCon, guys, and it is coming up soon. It is in Florida, Orlando on September 22nd. We will be there. You should be there or be square. We will be talking to all of you guys, and we'd love to hang out. We're going to have a meet and greet. We're going to do lots of fun stuff. So I hope you will join us. Even if you just come down and you live in Florida, just come down to Orlando. Check us out. It's a good time too. There's lots of good stuff. I think they have, I was looking at some of the guests that they have. It's going to be a good one. I'll tell you next time after I remember.
Sounds cool. Hope we find a
okay.
good bar. 80s band.
90s.
90s. And if that guy is there,
Oh my gosh, you guys.
I'm gonna go Glinda on his ass. Okay.
We did not even talk about going to Orange County before we got there. So he's definitely not a stalker on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think I ever told him my name. So I think we're okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.